if I don't want to do something, I dread something, I'm scared of something, that specific thing is what God is calling me to do.
Why are we like that?
And I don't think that's how God operates. I feel like God gives us our desires. So if my desire is for a period of rest and waiting and seeing and watching and seeing what the next opportunity is, and not, diving into another pregnancy, if God has placed that desire, I feel like that desire is from God, or it can be from God. Like, God can direct our desires, and just because I'm scared of something or don't want to do something, that's not God saying, that's what I want you to do, that thing that you're scared of. Like that song, Please Don't Send Me to Africa.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't want to go to Africa, that's where God's going to send you. If you definitely don't want to marry that boy from 5th grade, that's definitely the one that God's going to make you marry.
We've all heard that wives' tale from our mother.
Yeah,
like,
God doesn't work like that.
You look so tan.
Yeah, it's that oppressed Mennonite wife life. I just sit in the sun all day.
I feel practically albino. Oh my goodness, I'm covered in goosebumps, if not a tan.
Yeah. No, I have been swimming and stuff a lot lately.
Yeah, so welcome back, everyone.
It's good to be here.
Yeah. It has been a journey. We are here at the end of, the season 4. This is the last episode for the season. We are going to take a break next month, and then we'll hopefully, Lord willing, come back again in September. Anything can change, but this is the plans at the moment. And we have kind of exciting news. Honey, Homemaker is graduating to its own YouTube channel.
Yay!
So we're really excited about it. We feel like we found our tribe of people that enjoy the Honey, Homemaker series, and it's not necessarily the same people that subscribed so many years ago, or maybe last month even, or whenever, to my regular homemaking content. So, and my day in the life vlogs, all that stuff. So we want to kind of separate it out a little bit. So there is a link down below in the description box. Please click on that right now before you forget. And then you just want to hit the little bell and the subscribe button. That way you're notified when we put up our next season. And it's going to go on there. And we're also going to put it on podcast platforms like Spotify and iTunes. If Josh can figure this all out, Lord willing.
Let's hope.
He's our tech guy. I don't know why you'd want to watch over there though. Like,
yeah, I know.
There's nothing to watch.
Seriously offended.
You don't know how much work we put into the fashion over here.
Yeah.
Totally kidding.
Not very much.
5 minutes.
We Snapchat like an hour before I'm ready to
You'll
go.
be like,
what are we wearing?
Yeah, you'll be like, I got this new dress. And I'll be like, oh, I have something that matches. And then
yeah, but I do buy stuff sometimes to be like, oh, I could wear this on the pod, and then I justify it.
Oh, really?
So it's great.
God, confessions with Jaina.
Yeah.
I don't know. I enjoy YouTube video podcasts. I don't know. I feel like it just adds something to it. Not that I'm necessarily always even watching it. But I can glance over and
if there's a podcast that has a video, I'm definitely having it up while I'm listening, even if I'm not watching it.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, before we get into today's episode, which is very juicy, it's a life update really, and something that we never really thought we'd be making a podcast about, but here we are. And it's just, I don't know how much wisdom people are going to take away from it, but maybe they can brainstorm with us and just get the ball rolling. And I bet there are some people who find themselves in the same situation. And I feel like this is going to be a good episode all around.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just a good therapy session for us.
Probably for me.
Yeah. So what is your favorite for this month or this week?
Oh. This beautiful little thing. I love it. It came in a set of 2. It's a colander. There's a bigger one that I left at home. But that small one, I actually just keep it in my sink. And as I am clearing the table or prepping veggies, I just throw all my slop. Is that a Mennonite term?
I don't know.
Throw the schlop in the bucket.
Schlop.
Anyway, I throw all my produce extras,
Scraps.
the kids' rejects that they didn't eat, and then I take it up to my chickens. And it keeps it out of my trash can. The chickens get fed. And it's pretty. Like you always say, you have to buy it anyway. You might as well buy the pretty version. I had a Tupperware green hideous looking one for years, and I didn't keep it in my sink, but it started to break, and I was like, you know what, I need another colander. So I got this one, and I don't know how long it's gonna hold up, but so far I really like it.
Yeah, well, it sounds like with what you're using it for, it should hold up a while. It's not like you're putting hot pasta, dumping it in, or anything like that.
I do use the bigger one for that. I use it for that too.
Well, keep us updated. Is it an Amazon purchase?
It is.
Okay.
Yes, I can link
we'll
it.
have to put the link. It is gorgeous.
Yeah, I got it on Prime Day. It was on sale.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I know.
Actually, on Prime Day, I did not buy. I guess I bought 2 things. I like to save big ticket items for Prime Day and then see if there's a sale. One, I got Josh a paddleboard.
Nice.
So now we both have one. And 2, I got one of those Bissell carpets vacuum things to vacuum upholstery and stuff. So I haven't opened it or gotten it out of the box yet, and I've had it for so long. So if I don't like it, I can't return it.
Bummer.
Yeah.
I like it. I like
I've
mine.
heard so many good things about it, and I've wanted it for a long time. So it was not an impulse purchase. My favorite for the month, though, is coincidentally, it has to do with insects again.
Just you're not taking up tennis?
Yes, this is not a tennis racket. Here, would you like to QVC it for me? This is a bug zapper. We used them out in Minnesota for the first time. The Akrons had them, and they were so fun. It's almost like a game. You zap bugs with it. There's like an electrical course thing that goes through it and zaps the bugs. And so you can just sit there and have a conversation, and then all of a sudden flail your arm out and
my boys
get the
would
mosquito.
love that.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna need to get them.
So yeah, we are getting our patio redone. I think it's done at the time that this video goes up. I will have a tour ready very soon. And we're going to do tiki torches and citronella candles.
Oh, I cannot wait to come over for a cookout.
But we also have lights, so that does attract bugs. So we thought maybe we'd need another extra element. So these are super handy dandy, and they run with battery. And they're just fun. So yeah, I can see your boys having a heyday with these. So I will link them down below as well.
There's not going to be a bug in your house.
Oh, insect-free home, we would hope. Okay, so I don't know what structure we want to take this conversation in. Should I be like the Oprah and like interview you?
Probably. No, I don't know.
Productive. What has brought us to this life update and whole, like, just tell us what you've been thinking through lately in the last, 6 months? A little less.
Yeah. Well, 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
Ever since my last miscarriage, which was in April, right around Easter.
I feel like you brought this conversation up though.
Well, yeah, because I didn't know I was
going
to get. So it's been something that has been on my mind the past 2 years, I would say, or a year for sure. Yeah, not knowing what the future held, and then having 3 losses in the past 3 years. Finley starts kindergarten this fall when everyone goes back to school. He's gonna go too. When Jack gets on the bus this year, Finley's gonna go too, and then
you're gonna be standing on the porch all alone.
I'm going to cry.
Oh.
Then there's me, like. What am I gonna do?
I feel like you need to have plans that morning at 9:00.
Yeah.
Like somewhere to go.
Yeah, I will. I'll have to think of something. That first day will be a little rough, I think. But it's also very exciting. Like, I don't want to make it seem all doom and gloom. Yes, it's very disappointing. This is not what I've had planned for my life. It's not what I thought would happen. But I'm also very excited about it. I mean, there's endless possibilities. Now, this year isn't too much of a big deal because Finley will only go 2 or 3 days a week, and I'm planning to go to school to volunteer 1 day a week already, maybe more if they need me. So I will be at school at least 1 day. So that leaves 1, maybe 2 days of the week, which isn't a whole lot of time. So this year won't be that impactful, but it's nice that it starts slowly. But yeah, like, what am I going to do even for a whole day by myself? I can't even quite imagine it. To have the whole day to myself. There's many things I could do. I had written down some things.
So you will essentially be an empty nester at 31 during the day.
Yeah.
During the day. Like, they'll still come home, obviously, in the evenings and stuff. And that's not something you really foresaw, but...
Yeah. Like I mentioned before, we had 2 miscarriages in the past 6 months. 3 in the past 3 years. So it's been quite a whirlwind, I guess you would call it, or just... kind of a lot of up and down for our family. Excitement and then disappointment and then excitement and disappointment.
Does it feel like a whirlwind to you, or does it feel like it's drug on and on?
I don't even know what it feels like. Sometimes it feels like it was so long ago, and then the next time it feels like it was just yesterday. Sometimes I find myself like almost forgetting that it happened, or just kind of blocking it out and forgetting that I even had a pregnancy, because there's nothing to show for it. So I tend to just almost block it out. And there was one period of time, I think I was just distracted by other things that were going on. And I was like, oh, I'm not even thinking about it that much. I hardly thought about it. And then last week, I don't know, it just all came crashing back. And it was just a really hard week of grief. And I wasn't necessarily expecting that. So it kind of just took me off guard. And I think that's just how grief is. It comes and it goes.
It's not like you conquer it.
Just because you're distracted one week, you think that you're not over it. It'll come back. And it hasn't been that long. It's only been a couple months. So I feel like...
And it feels kind of like it's not just like an arbitrary thing either. It's like it's shaping your family.
Yeah. Yeah. It's life-changing. I mean, my boys were very excited. This past one that we just had a couple months ago, I had to have a DNC, and we got some genetic testing done, which allowed us to know the gender, and we found out it was a girl, which was hard to hear, but I'm glad that we found out. But the boys were just really, really devastated, and they still talk about it like, oh, I wish the baby would have made it. And it's really, really, really hard to see your children grieve, and to know how to handle that with them when your heart is also breaking. So I feel like, as a life update, like where I am at the moment as far as getting pregnant again, I feel like we're in a season of healing as a family. One of my boys, I think struggled with it more, and it affected him more. Like, he went through a period of like, he was very anxious. He had a lot of anxiety. He would be scared about things that he had really no business being scared about. Wasn't scared about in the past, like even just going to babysitters or going to grandma's house. He just had a lot of fear and anxiety. He'd wake up at night worried about things, and he is more of a thoughtful, sensitive person, but this was to an extreme that was a little concerning. And when, a couple weeks after the miscarriage, and there was other things I think that were impacting that too, the thought of going to school and things like that, but it's been so much better lately. Like, I've seen him conquer his fears and be so courageous, and I'm just so proud of him. And it made me think that I think a lot of the reasons for the anxiety was me.
Oh, his mom was not settled, so he did not feel settled.
I was anxious. I was, for a couple weeks, I was sick, laying on the couch tired. I wasn't doing my normal thing. And then I was sad and crying and grieving and, had to go to the hospital. So I think, I could be wrong, but I think it affected him. He sensed a lot of my anxiety and grief, and we're just all at a much better place now. So the thought of trying again, this is very vulnerable, but the thought of trying again, I have to weigh the pros and cons of that. And it sounds terrible to say I'm not trying again because I'm scared, or, I'm scared to take the risk. But I also have to think of the children that I have. Yes, I love the babies that we lost. I would love any future children, but I have to think of the children that I have now and what is in their best interest. I know they would be amazing big brothers, but I'm just not sure it's worth taking that road. I feel like after 3, it would be prudent to do some testing before just trying again. And the tests are often inconclusive, and they're expensive, and they're stressful, waiting for the results. And even just like, Finley has been to so many blood test appointments with me. He has seen, and it's fine. I don't think that's wrong for him to see that, but like, go get a blood test, so many times. And I just feel like we all just need a break.
A pause.
I don't want to.
Who knows if it's a period or a comma kind of thing.
I don't want to jump back into that right now. None of us do. I mean, I don't really ask the boys' opinion on what,
but
that's not for them to worry about. But Eric and I, we don't feel peace about pursuing that.
Which brings up a whole conversation that I feel like a large majority of our audience is wrestling with, or will be wrestling with at some point, and that is the whole idea of family planning, and what that looks like as a Christian who values family and the sanctity of human life and all of that. And we believe that God opens and shuts the womb and, all of that. And so how does that look practically? Because it's easy to say all the flowery things, but how are you supposed to know what to do in what situation?
Yeah, because in our situation, we didn't struggle to get pregnant. We get pregnant whenever, it doesn't take anything. Like, it happens very easily for us, but it also ends in a loss, 4 out of 6 times. So how do we steward that? How do we, in the past, I had talked about before that I was on the hormonal birth control pill for years. It was just so easy. And I will say I had no adverse side effects. I actually loved being on the pill. And like Megan chose to go off for, not necessarily because of how it made me feel, but for, I don't know, conviction, for spiritual, moral reasons. As I learned more about it and heard people's stories and experiences with it. And I feel like across the board culturally, whether, liberals, conservatives, Christians, non-Christians, I feel like women are coming off the pill. Do you feel like that?
Oh,
Like I
yes,
see it everywhere.
yes.
Like it's not just us. Like
it may also be the rise of like the copper IUD and all of those things as well. But I feel like
No,
for the
but I
most
feel
part,
like
people are
even
really
that-
preaching against hormonal intervention of any kind because
yes.
I mean,
Well, I think-
we have enough years now to see the side effects of it.
Yeah.
And even though I was on the pill for 2 years, so not quite as long as you, but I had no adverse effects as well. But I know the majority of the people that I know that were on it did have bad side
I feel
effects.
like me and you are one of the, maybe my sister too, I'm not sure. But like we felt great on it, but that I feel like we are not the norm.
No.
As far as that goes.
But we all have our own journey. Like at one point I probably had friends praying for me that I would change my mind about, hormonal birth control or whatever. And, eventually I did go off of it. But all of us, if we're married and, sexually active and everything, are making a choice one way or another in some way, whether we're, being really trying to get pregnant or like trying to prevent it, doing it naturally, not naturally, natural family planning. You have to
make a
something.
choice.
You're actively like not doing nothing is
a
doing
choice.
something. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a choice. Exactly.
Yeah. So it's so hard to know what to do. And I don't want to put down anyone who is on the pill. Like that is your choice. I am not here to say that it is wrong one way or the other for you to do that. There are certain situations that I would feel comfortable with someone going on the pill. I'm not going to say it's wrong across the board, but for me, I made the decision that I'm never going back on it. So what do we do?
Yeah. And I know families, and I respect these families so much, that are just like, whatever happens in the next 20 years that I'm fertile, that's what the Lord's giving us, and they're doing nothing to slow down or to space pregnancies or anything like that. And maybe that's just the way we should all be living by default, or maybe that is like a specific calling that God has placed on someone's heart, just like he might really put a heavy weight on someone's heart for adoption or something like that.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at in the place of everybody needs to decide for themselves, and I'm not going to tell you how your family needs to look or be shaped. But, just recently we had a small decision of, okay, we've had 3 kids pretty closely together. Do we want to quickly finish up and have like 1 more and be done and just have them all close together? Do we want to wait a while and have 2 more and just have 5 children? The idea when you have 3 of having 7 or 8 is just not in your realm of possibility. I don't feel like anybody sets out to have 12 kids necessarily or 8 kids. I think it just, you make one decision at a time, and over time your family becomes shaped the way it is.
Yeah.
And so that's just like a small little decision. Like, how do you want to space your family? Do you even have that power? Because, some people can get pregnant at the drop of a hat. Some people have to try harder. Some people are like me, and it's a mixed bag. It's such a weedy conversation. And
I think making a decision of any kind is just, it's hard. Like sometimes you just have to make a decision, and it might not necessarily be a right or a wrong. Like for my situation, it wouldn't be wrong for me to try to get pregnant again. Obviously, it wouldn't be wrong for me to go through another miscarriage, but is it wrong for me to avoid that? No, I don't think it is. I think I'm the steward. My husband and I, we're the steward of our fertility. We can use our best judgment to decide what's best for our family, what's best for the children that we do have. It was hard for our extended family too to walk through that with us. So I just feel like there's more people involved than just me, more feelings to consider than just me. And recently I was thinking about how sometimes I tend to think that if I don't want to do something, I dread something, I'm scared of something, that specific thing is what God is calling me to do.
why are we like that?
And I don't think that's how God operates. I feel like God gives us our desires. So if my desire is for a period of rest and waiting and seeing and watching and seeing what the next opportunity is, and not, diving into another pregnancy, if God has placed that desire, I feel like that desire is from God, or it can be from God. Like God can direct our desires. And just because I'm scared of something or don't want to do something, that's not God saying, that's what I want you to do, that thing that you're scared of. Like that song, Please Don't Send Me to Africa.
Yeah.
Like if you don't want to go to Africa, that's where God's going to send you. If you definitely don't want to marry that boy from 5th grade, that's definitely the one that God's going to make you marry.
We've all heard that wives' tale from our mother.
Yeah,
like,
God doesn't work like that, I don't think. I think he's a God of love, and he wants to fulfill your desires. And so I think when we're making decisions, pay attention to what your heart wants. Now, yes, don't just follow your heart. I think that can lead you to a dangerous place too, but
And your feelings, yeah.
Yeah, your
the
feelings.
heart is desperately wicked. We all know that verse. But yeah, I feel like the precursor.
But is that talking about the unregenerated heart?
Possibly.
That's a whole nother discussion.
I mean, let's not just cherry pick a verse, right?
No, but I'm just saying, don't negate or don't forget your desires. Don't just write them off as the opposite of what God wants, because I think that God does give you the desires.
Oh, I mean, he says so. But I think the precursor to that is like a daily walk with him.
Right.
And letting him rub off on you and not like the ways of the world and
stuff.
And
making sure that what you desire does line up with scripture, like making sure that it's not coming from a place of selfishness. But yeah, so that's the update on me. We're watching and seeing what God could possibly have next for us, whether that's fertility testing. At this point, I really just don't see us going down that road. Because I just feel like it's such a stressful path, and I just feel like we're called to something else. I don't know, what. I just don't feel a peace at going down that road. And mainly because Eric doesn't. He doesn't. If I really wanted to, he would go along with it. He'd be okay with it. But I know he doesn't want to. And I don't really want to either. So I feel like for now, we're just going to do what feels right. And that's just to focus on the children that we do have. Look for ways to reach out around us in our community to help our friends, be there for them. My sister's having a baby in the fall. And I feel like I'm just kind of gonna like claim it a little bit and be like, that's my baby too. I don't think she'll mind sharing, and just be there for her in a way that I haven't been able to when she had babies before, because I was busy with my own. So I'm excited about the future. Back to our like original point, what do you do when you're at a stage of life that you never thought you would be at, or before you thought you would be at the stage of life? Like my friends, they have babies, so they're not going to be at my stage where all of their children are in school for many, many years. So I don't have friends that I can just, like when my mom sent her last child to school, her friends were also sending their last child to school. So they could meet up for coffee or have a girls' shopping day. I can't really, I can go to their play dates, but I probably will. But it just feels a little weird. Like, I don't know. Like I need something else in my life I have more time, so I'm going to have to add something to my life that they're not adding.
Yeah. And just speaking from a mom of littles, I think sometimes those of us that have little children, small children, and feel like we don't have much time for anything besides our family can sometimes glamorize that stage of life and look forward to it and like be like, oh, I can't wait when I have time to do this and this. And it's very different when you're actually there.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Because I feel like me and my friends talk about that a lot. Like, oh, someday, we're going to be like this. And when our kids are all in school and we're grandmas, like it's simultaneous or something. Yeah. Like, you're not going to be a grandma for years and years,
no.
girl.
But I have a much bigger gap between sending my children to school and being a grandma than most of my peers
mom
have.
Was not looking for work outside of the home until my little sister started kindergarten or first grade. And she was 45 or 46. Mm-hmm. It's totally different.
I mean, I could start a career. I could go to school. I could become a nurse.
You could get a 4-year degree and make it worthwhile.
I could. I don't want to. So I guess that means I have to, right? No. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm just saying, like, I could go back into banking. Like, there's so many things I could do, and none of them are wrong. All of them could be right. I just have to pick something. Or I think I just have to kind of wait and see what happens. It's not like I need to go out and get a job on the first day Finley goes back to school.
I think this kindergarten year is such a nice
buffer. Yes,
such a nice
very
buffer.
grateful.
It might be the best year of your life in some ways.
I'm excited about it. I really am. And sometimes it feels wrong to say that I'm excited. Like, I feel like people are like, you should be sad. and I know that's perceived. Like, I don't think anyone would actually think that or tell me that. But the other day, I took the boys paddleboarding to the lake, just me and them. And I was telling them that, this is something we couldn't do if we would have had a baby in May, like we thought we might, which they didn't even know about that one, but I did. So if they knew, anyway, if we would have had a baby in May, like I thought we were going to, we wouldn't have been able to go paddleboarding to the lake, just me and the boys. And we had such a good time. So how do I balance those emotions? Like, I love doing this. It was so fun. It was an adventure. I'm grateful for it, but yet I kind of wish I wouldn't be able to do it. And it's okay to be grateful for those things while still honoring the grief, I think. And
Yeah.
I want to make,
You don't
God
have to
has
pick
me,
one. You don't have to pick one.
no, God has me in this situation for a reason. I don't want to just sit at home and be sad about it. I think it's okay to embrace it, even though I didn't choose it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I feel like there also is some women, maybe more than we realize, that are facing this situation soon. Maybe they have like a, 18-year-old, a 15-year-old, a 13-year-old, a 7-year-old, and now, somebody that's going into school. Even homeschool moms deal with this as well at some point. It just might be a little bit later on because they're homeschooling their children through the school years. But at some point, your children are all going to be out of your home. And I know that's not the point you're at where your children are out of your home. They're
Right.
still coming home at 3:30 and you have the whole
They
rest of your
still
day
very
together.
much need me.
Yes, they're
Yeah.
very needy, small children yet in some ways. But it will affect all of us in some way or another unless we keep fostering or adopting, no gaps the whole way up until we're dead. I don't know. I was trying to think. Yeah. So I feel like it's a very relevant topic, maybe not timely for everyone, but I think it's something to think about and pray about. And what are some things that we know? I was trying to think of women, Mennonite women in our lives, what they do with their time if they're not homeschooling or, their children are away out of the home at school during the day. What do they do with their time?
I think volunteer a lot. My mom she volunteered at school. Didn't your mom do something with old people, or was that an actual job?
Yeah, no, she actually she was a CNA when she was young, and she always wanted to get that again. So I think she got recertified.
Okay.
Don't quote me on all of this, but she does senior care for people they're in home that need either companionship or actual care throughout the day.
Okay.
And so she gets to use her skills through that. And I think that's really,
Yeah.
when I look at that, I'm like, that's awesome. She did it when she was younger. Children were not, she had a period of life when she was raising children very actively. And now she just does it 2 or 3 days a week when my sister is in school. My sister is 16 now. But yeah, she still can be home in the evenings and it's not like too much, but it's something to fill up some time. And she feels like it's very worthwhile for her.
Yeah.
And for me, I used to be a teacher. So I, of course, dream of someday getting back in the classroom in some kind of part-timey way.
Yeah.
Maybe free work, volunteering, like you said.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one option for sure.
My mom has had various part-time jobs, usually 1 or 2 days a week. She actually volunteered at our school last year, 1 day a week. She, does Bible studies at church. She teaches Sunday school. She does a lot with her friends. She has a really good friend group that they do lunch dates for their birthdays. And her one friend is a recent widow. So I know she's been helping her some.
She really pours into her grandkids.
Yes.
Like hands-on. She's there.
She babysits a lot. She's always there when we need her. She definitely makes that a priority. She travels with my dad. They go overseas. They go to the islands. Sometimes he has a business trip and she'll go along with him.
Yeah, and I feel like in my stage of life, sometimes we can have like these dreams and desires. Like we know that's not what God has for us right now. Our young children that need us are more important. But boy, it would be so fun to someday have time for this or for that. Josh sometimes talks about retiring and becoming a trucker, and we could go trucking together and see the sights and stuff. Right now it's just a fun little pie in the sky. Oh, that's an idea. Maybe someday it would come to fruition. I mean, who knows? But yeah, taking a hobby and turning it into more of a either side hustle or a more regular thing in your life can be a way to fill some time. Yeah, maybe some of you cannot really identify with this train of thought because, you were a career woman. Maybe you still are while your children are already, at home and you're using daycare or grandma or whatever. But I guess for our Mennonite culture, it is, maybe we should have said this at the top, but it's not necessarily expected, but kind of, I guess it is. Like most Mennonite women are stay-at-home moms while their children are our children are young.
Yeah.
And we like to be very hands-on, as we should, I think.
Yeah.
It's, if we have that option, that's wonderful and amazing and such a privilege. So that's kind of where we're coming from.
Yeah. So in conclusion, I asked the question, what do I do as far as family planning, birth control? So for now, we are in our not making any decisions era or any big decisions era. We are using natural cycles to, avoid pregnancy currently, but that is not 100% foolproof. And if I would get pregnant, then we would go from there. But for now, we're just not doing anything permanent because we want to see what happens, like where we feel at in the future. So yeah, we're just not making any big decisions. currently.
Yeah. And I think the key word too is currently, because God can definitely, change hearts or circumstances, or, plop a baby at your doorstep.
Oh, I would love that. That would be so easy.
Be careful what you wish for, girl. Oh, man. Yeah. Well, I don't know if you came away with any answers to any questions in life, but it was fun processing together. And yeah, I'm excited to see what God has in store for both of us in our next stages. And yeah, I just encourage you to spend time in God's word so that you can hear his voice when he's prompting you in a new or different direction. And yeah, I just appreciate you all being here.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.